guys, I'm Natasha, Kabelo, T. Thank you so much for agreeing to chat to me today at the Fertility Show about your journey and what you guys are dealing with. Could you please give me a summary of your journey so far, guys?
Well, yeah, I can say that with families and friends, it's also tough because they don't understand what you're going through, and everybody's just asking, where's the baby, where's the baby?
What's wrong? What's wrong?
And the fact that you want to say, well, I don't know, you also don't know how to answer them, and you just pull back. Yeah.
Personally, for me, that has been the hardest part of the journey, the understanding. I get questions from friends, from family, and there's a stigma attached to it, especially in our culture, where it's predominantly said that the woman is the one who's the problem, not knowing there's something like male infertility as well. And it's not something you can have a conversation over a dinner table. So it's very tough, and it makes one become timid and withdrawn. So it gets to a point where when I see couples, my friends with kids, I can't be happy for them as much as I want to, because the next question that comes is, when you have your kid, when are you having your kid? It can't just be about the moment and everything. So there's this pressure, especially from the black community, that for me is, it's a lot.
Very overwhelming.
It's a lot, yeah. Most definitely. So starting the process, it was through GPs, specialists, urologists, gynaes. Just to put a ballpark figure, I'd say 100, 150K, and that is just the minimum, that amount we spent. Probably spent more.
I think it's more because the first consultation it's cash, so you don't like, and a consultation is like 2,000 rand, and sometimes when you go to the doctor you have to go to a couple of sessions and there's scans, and I had to go through a lot of blood tests, and I think the only thing that helped was when I was admitted at the hospital, and that then the medical aid paid because I was in hospital. But otherwise everything we've done cash.
The difference it would have made is you're already dealing with the stress of not having a kid, the stress of infertility, the financial burden that comes with it. On average, you're spending about 6,000 rands paying medical aid every month, and until you go through infertility, you find out, oopsie, they don't cover this. They tell you we cover all prescribed minimum benefits, we are the best medical aid. Sorry, Discovery, to mention you, but I'm a Discovery member.
As am I.
And
they are the biggest.
And they're the biggest medical aid. They say they're the industry leader. Why aren't they leading the charge to say, let us help couples with the drive for infertility, save them costs, happier customers, and you'll have more prudent use on medical aids, I believe, personally.
I couldn't agree with you more. T, did you have anything to add to that?
If the medical aids were to help us, I think we would even get more chances of getting babies, because, I mean, for example, if you go through, for example, IVF or IUI, you still have to save, and then you go to the next one.
Yes.
If the first one didn't happen. So, meaning if the medical aid was there for me, I would have more chances.
Well, and it's one less thing to stress about.
Yes.
How I feel about that is, let me take it to the example you made about rehabs and drugs. Taking drugs is a choice. Infertility is not a choice. I choose to be an addict, and when I feel I need rehab, medical aid say, come here, we'll take care of you. I've got a medical condition that I did not choose, that I did not contribute directly to. Maybe lifestyle choices, maybe yes, they can argue that. But the fact that they exclude you makes you wonder, what's the point of medical aid? Looking at South African stats, there's only about 9 million people on medical aid out of the entire population. You pay so much, you get so little. It leaves me unhappy with medical aid. I've also worked for a few medical aid companies, so I've had interactions with boards where they take decisions on what benefits to bring out, what exclusions to have. And to think that none of them, of all the medical schemes I've been with, all the medical scheme administrators I've interacted with, not one has ever tabled something like infertility and said, we've got a problem here, so many South Africans, 8 billion South Africans might be suffering from this, let us be the industry leader and offer that and set ourselves apart. Nobody's done that. So it begs the question to say, what are medical aids doing for their members? Are we there to help our members, or are we there to try and look good in the face of certain members and cast the other members aside? I don't know.
Well, it's quite difficult because dealing, number one, as a black person with infertility, and then now again with medical aids not paying, it's you are alone. You are alone, and you can't really say where do I run? How do I solve my problems? How, like, medical aid, they must just come up and help us.
So I know how benefits packages are drawn up. I know how they decide what exclusions and inclusions to have, how to adjust benefit levels, and so forth. I want them just to do a scientific experimentation and say, what is the best treatment there and the success rate thereof? And then they go and say, well, we're gonna say, like Fed Health was saying, we're coming out with a product for young couples and young families who are planning on starting a family. As an example, I'd piggyback on that as a Fed Health and say, how do I now say I support these couples who might be suffering the infertility journey? These are IUI, for example, maybe the success rate is 40%. We say we will pay 40% of that because it's a 40% scientific explanation of the success of that, and link it to stats and link it to a certain percentage and say we will meet you halfway. That is better than nothing. That for me would have been 40,000 rand less I would have had to spend as a minimum.
One less thing to stress about when you're already stressing about everything.
100%.
Again, thank you for being firstly so brave and for just being so incredibly interesting to talk to and giving a completely different perspective to a topic that a lot of people, irrespective of cultural or racial background, are scared to talk about. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you both.
Thank you very much, Natasha. It was our pleasure. Thanks.